So I just want to come on here and explain you the whole story of basically Circus Story, New Generation. This is not including Endless School. So let's start. Okay, don't mind that. So basically, Circus Story is of 3 girls who go on a field trip, and they go to a circus on the field trip. But when everyone leaves, the girls get left behind or something, and they can't escape. They meet multiple friends along the way, such as Gaia, Shiloh, Lila, and many more. But one day, they discover something. Gaia is not who they expect. She's actually a witch. But not only is she a witch, she is also a robot. So, at one point, they leave the circus. They managed to escape. 3 girls, May, Spring, and Autumn. But a couple years later, the girls meet back up again after no contact for the past year or 2. So they decide to go to the circus again to try to find their friends. While trying to find their friends, they find Aiden and Haya, very annoyed at them for leaving them behind all those years ago. And so, at one point, they find this crystal. It's almost like this type of crystal they found before, if you don't know what I mean. In the first act, they find a crystal which makes Autumn, well, Autumn doesn't have any powers, but May became like some type of goddess of the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and nature. Meanwhile, Spring became a type of devil. But this time it was a different crystal. And when they pressed it, May was a vampire, Autumn was a werewolf, and Spring was an alien. And around that time, we discover another character, Vivian. Vivian is a clown. And we also discover that Shiloh and Lila are dead. At one point in the series, we find a little girl crying in the woods. Her name is Blossom. She was looking for her sister, Shiloh. She doesn't know where she went, but all she knew is that day in the circus, she was there. So she came to look for her. Then a bit later, about a day or 2 later, they find another little girl, Flora. I'm not sure how Flora got there. Probably the same reason as Blossom. But Flora is Vivian and Aiden's sister. Yes, the 3 of them are related. So one time, the 3 girls, May, Autumn, and Spring, they're going to this part of an abandoned city. And all of a sudden, they get up. They smell a weird smell. And they dig it up. Because they heard someone screaming. And turns out, Shiloh was never dead. She was buried alive. Sure, she was very, very hurt. She wasn't dead. So Blossom and Shiloh reunited. But then something strange happened. Shiloh realized Vivian at one point was trying to say, "Help me." So she went up to Vivian and realized she was getting, like, possessed or something by the clowns. So when they were able to take out the clown piece, Vivian was okay. But Aiden and Flora weren't so sure. Luckily, they were. After the three girls made sure of it. But later on, May, Spring, and Autumn find these two necklaces. One that possesses the night and one that possesses the day. Spring does the odd choice by putting the night one on Blossom and the light one on Flora. They become some type of sun and night angels. Fast forward to a bit later. A lot of them were able to escape. But the three girls, no one really knew where they went. Some people say they just disappeared. Some people say they died. Some people say they were still in the circus. Some people say they just plainly escaped without anybody knowing. But around that time, Flora and Blossom are around teens. Around their age, the age where they first discovered where the three main girls first discovered the circus on the field trip. So Vivian and Shiloh, of course, found an exit and they kissed their sisters goodbye. They offered for them to come with, but they said they wanted to discover a bit more. So, after discovering for a bit, they had no idea each other were still in the circus. But one day, they find each other again. They start to have feelings for each other. But besides that, they meet another person. Her name was Primrose. Primrose was actually Blossom's best friend from when they were little. She kind of knew Primrose almost as long as Flora, maybe a month or two before. But there's something about Primrose that nobody knows. One, that she's actually Haya's sister, little sister in fact. And second, Primrose, well, she's a type of a time traveler, so she's been rebirthed multiple times. Multiple times. And she can travel to the past, the future, the present. You name it, she can do it. The only thing is, she doesn't really know how to teleport out of the circus or somehow get out of it. But at one point, they find some type of flyer about a little girl and a little boy who were born way before them. But yet, it showed this girl who looked awful like Gaia. But now, they're most known as Bunny Girl and Deer Boy, two siblings who were killed by Gaia and now haunt the circus as creatures. They meet them at one point. No one really knows what happened. But I would say about a month or two later, the three girls, Primrose, Flora, and Blossom, were able to escape somehow. But unfortunately, in doing, Blossom and Flora did lose their powers. And Primrose became, well, I like to say that she became some type of goddess, or basically the same thing. But for Blossom and Flora, they adopted a couple kids. But I'll tell you now what I know about Endless School. This is present day, where electronics are a thing. Because if you didn't know, Circus Story and Circus Story A New Generation were taking place in 1981 and 1992. Sorry, yeah. And in Endless School, it's just three girls for now. They are known as Faith, Astrid, and Evelyn. Evelyn. And they go to the school. But what they don't know about the school is, it used to be a circus. But one day, it just kind of broke down. So construction people decided to build it into a circus. But they found some pictures of some of the girls, including Spring, May, Autumn, Flora, Blossom, Prim, Rose. So, the 3 girls now in the school can't get out of the school. And there actually is some people in detention. But who? Well, that's what you're gonna have to find out later. That is the whole story of Circus Story, A New Generation, and Endless School. Now, Endless School will be continued. It's not the finish. It's just starting. But that is what you guys can know now. Good night.